Today I'm reviewing the Skytech Shadow Gaming PC desktop with a Ryzen 5 5500, NVIDIA RTX 3056 GB, 16 GB DDR4, and a 1TB NVMe SSD. If you want to check current pricing or availability, I've linked that below. I've spent real time with this system as my everyday desktop, gaming, web browsing, content work, and background apps running together. What follows reflects how this PC feels in actual use, not just on paper. Let's make expectations clear up front. This is not a high-end gaming rig. It's not designed to push the latest AAA titles at max settings or target ultra-high frame rates at 1440p or above. Instead, it's aimed at sensible 1080p gaming and everyday responsiveness. In normal desktop work, browsing, streaming media, office tasks, and light creative tools, the Ryzen 5 5500 feels smooth. Switching between apps and multitasking with background utilities didn't reveal noticeable lag. For general use, it stays responsive without hesitation. For gaming at 1080p, the RTX 3050 sits in a pragmatic spot. With medium settings in most modern titles, playability feels comfortable. Competitive titles like Fortnite, Valorant, and Rocket League run smoothly at playable frame rates, and even heavier games land in a range that's enjoyable with modest settings. You're not chasing ultra visuals, you're balancing quality and smooth, steady play. If you push to 1440p, this configuration begins to show its limits. You'll need to tune settings more aggressively, and even then frame rates may dip below what you'd like for demanding games. It's not that it can't run higher resolutions at all, it's just more practical at 1080p with sensible expectations. Thermals here are calm. In extended gaming sessions, the system warms up but stays stable. Fans ramp predictably under load, and the noise stays consistent rather than jumpy or harsh. In lighter use, it's fairly quiet in the background. The 16 GB of DDR4 RAM suits the way many people use a desktop today. It handled multitasking with games, browsers, and utilities open without obvious memory pressure. That amount of memory feels practical for both gaming and everyday workflows. Storage at 1TB NVMe SSD is a positive for this class. Load times are quick, the OS feels responsive, and you have space for a fair library of games without immediately needing a second drive. Build quality here feels typical for a mid-range pre-built. It's solid without feeling premium, and the included Wi-Fi and 650W Gold PSU make setup straightforward without needing immediate upgrades. Now, honest trade-offs. This isn't a compact mini ITX build, and it doesn't aim for whisper-quiet operation. It sits on the floor or a desk with presence, and if size or near silence is your priority, that's not what this targets. In raw performance per dollar comparisons against self-built systems, you can sometimes find slightly more frame rate leverage if you're comfortable assembling parts yourself. That's not a critique of the machine, it's just the reality of pre-built versus DIY economics. Who this makes sense for: you want solid 1080p gaming without complicated tuning, you value quick storage and responsive everyday use, you prefer a ready-to-use system without building it yourself, you play competitive and mid-tier titles more often than pushing ultra visuals. It's less compelling if your goal is high-resolution ultra gaming or tiny, ultra-quiet builds. In actual use, this desktop feels reliable and capable where most people actually use it. It doesn't oversell itself, it simply performs in ways that line up with realistic expectations today. Check current pricing below and evaluate it against your needs.